This episode is presented to you in the form of audiobook. Let me tell you a story that you might know already. It's about a lion and a rabbit, but it is little bit technical. In a forest, there lived a fierce lion that hunted animals every day, causing fear among them. The animals were scared and didn't think critically, they only relied on their assumptions and beliefs to solve their problem. So they all came together and made an agreement. Every day, a slip of paper would be drawn with the name of an animal on it. The animal whose name was picked would go to the lion, so the other animals could live in peace. All the animals agreed to this plan, and the lion agreed too. Each day, they drew a slip, and the animal whose name was chosen would go to the lion, who would then kill and eat it. One day, it was the rabbit's turn to go to the lion, and the rabbit didn't want to die. This rabbit knew the first principles thinking. He thought about the situation and realized he needed to find a way to save himself. While walking, he came across a well and saw his own reflection in the water. The rabbit came up with a plan. If he could trick the lion into jumping into the well, the lion would drown and die. So, he decided to go back to the lion and tell him a story. He said, "I'm sorry, I'm late. I met a bigger lion who was saying bad things about you. He said you're weak and that he could defeat you." The lion got very angry and wanted to confront this bigger lion. The rabbit led the lion to the well, where the lion looked in and saw his own reflection, thinking it was another lion. When the lion roared in anger, his voice echoed back at him from the well. In his rage, the lion jumped into the well, thinking he could attack the other lion. But instead, he fell in and drowned. The rabbit's plan worked, and he saved his own life. Because he knew how to think based on the most basic truths rather than just following beliefs and assumptions. Look, boss, there are two ways to think. One is analogy thinking, and the other first principles thinking. Analogy thinking is when people just copy what others do and follow the crowd, accepting what society believes as true. It's an easy way of thinking, which is why almost 99% does it. On the other hand, first principles thinking involves breaking down a problem to its most basic parts to understand it better. This approach is harder, so only a 1% of people use it. The first rule of first principles thinking is to clearly define the problem. You do this by asking why multiple times, usually around 4 or 5 layers deep, to reach the basic truth of the issue. In 2002, Elon Musk wanted to send a rocket to Mars, but the biggest problem was that rockets were very expensive. This was because companies didn't make entire rockets themselves. They used to buy rocket parts from other companies and assemble them. And other companies also used to buy the small components from other companies. Every company add their profit percent and transportation cost. And due to this, rocket prices were very high. To solve this problem, Musk started SpaceX. Now, SpaceX makes 80 to 90% parts of its rockets in its own factory. He did something similar when he was working on Tesla. He discovered that battery packs were very costly, about $600 for every kilowatt hour. Because of the high cost of battery packs, electric cars weren't very popular. However, Elon Musk approached this problem by breaking it down to its basic parts. He wanted to understand what was needed to make a battery and looked at the issue from the ground up. This way, he could find a better solution. Elon Musk discovered that batteries are made from materials like lithium, cobalt, aluminum, nickel, and polymers. If these materials are bought in large amounts directly from the London Metal Exchange, and if a clever method is developed to put them together, then the cost of making batteries could be much lower. First principles thinking means breaking down a question or problem into its most basic parts to understand it better. For example, you want to write a best-selling book, you need to think about the essential things required, like a good story, interesting characters, and knowing what readers like. To write a great book, you should start with good chapter. But what makes good chapter? To create good paragraphs, you need to write good sentences. Good sentences come from choosing the right words. So, if you focus on picking better words, you can eventually write an amazing book. First principles thinking means that you should value the truth more than just ideas or opinions. Your goal is to find out what is really true, rather than getting stuck in what people think. This way of thinking is based on basic truths that stay the same no matter where you are or when it is. Gravitational force is a fact that exists no matter what. It doesn't matter if you believe in it or not, it's still there. Whether you are born today or in 1920, or if you are born in Singapore or England. Gravitational force is true everywhere and at all times. It always applies. A fundamental truth, like gravity, is always true and doesn't change with the environment. If you try to connect different ideas in new ways, you'll come up with solutions that impress even yourself. When someone understands the basics well, they can create new things. Just like a master chef can make thousands of dishes by mixing different ingredients, a music composer can create millions of tunes using just 7 notes. First principles mean setting aside common ideas and beliefs about something and focusing on the basic truths instead. Many people think that to get glowing and smooth skin, you need to buy expensive skincare products. However, if we break this down to the basics, we see that our skin is made up of cells. To improve these cells, we really need to focus on what we eat. The food we consume directly affects our skin cells, and healthy skin starts from a good diet. The same idea works for losing weight. The basic truth is that you gain weight when you eat more calories than you burn. To lose weight, you can eat fewer calories and exercise more to burn off extra calories. To think clearly, it's important not to be controlled by any one belief or idea. You should keep your mind open to ask questions and look at different ideas. Listen, it's important to focus on how to think rather than just thinking itself. Don't get stuck in your thoughts. Instead, look for the truth. Big ideas that can change the world take time to develop.